When I first started doing this, I dumped them out. I go, oh, it's going to take me so long to put them back in. And then after a while, it's so easy because you know the pattern. Visualizing the pentatonic scale pattern across your fretboard is a goal of many guitarists. So how do we get there? When we've got to do so many things at once. We've got to play, we've got to look, we've got to remember the pattern. Let's take a whole bunch of those steps out and start with memorizing the patterns. We're going to use the Fretboard Escalator for this. We're going to start with a blank Fretboard Escalator. Now, we actually don't need to worry about the key or any of these notes on the very front. We're just going to start with the patterns first. So we all know the most basic pentatonic scale shape pattern. You're going to recognize it immediately. But as I place these pegs in here, or as you place these pegs in here, you're going to remember it. Physically doing an activity actually helps your brain remember. But that's just step one. There's so much more you can do with this Fretboard Escalator after this. So, pattern one, some people call it, I'm going to call it the bass pattern because it's neither major nor minor. We haven't selected any root notes, let's not worry about it. Now, how can we extend this across the fretboard? Well, it won't take you long. Just a few days, you're going to realize just how easy this is. So in order to go, where are my next notes to the right from this scale pattern? Well, it's really easy. They are all in a straight line, just like this, except for one. And the one is the peak of the House of Blues. You may have heard that before. So what we have is our bass pattern, and we have an extension here, which is just a straight line, 2 frets over, except for one anomaly, who is 1 fret back. And he forms the top of the House of Blues. Don't worry about that for now, but if you've heard that term, that's where that comes from. Now how about the next one over? Well, that one's really easy too. Again, 2 frets over. What we're going to do is we're just going to put a straight line down. And instead of this outlier being to the left, it's going to be to the right and down 1 string. So sometimes I call this the mirror. So what you have is your bass, you have your extension 1, which is straight line and a dot to the left, and extension 2, which is a straight line and a dot to the right. They're sort of a mirror image of each other. But when you look at it like this, it's essentially anywhere you're coming off this pattern, you just have to go 2 frets over, except for that one note. Same here. All of it's 2 frets over, except that one note, and of course this one being one behind. Now let's start back to our bass here, and we want to go to the left. Now going to the left is really easy. I call it the pattern of 2s because there's 3 groups of 2. So we've got 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here. So if we go back to our bass pattern, we go to the left, it's 2, 2, and 2. Perfect. And we go to the right, we just have a straight line with 1 anomaly, 1 more, straight line with 1 anomaly. Perfect. So in the next lessons, we're going to talk about changing keys. But my advice to learn this even better is to pop off your front plate. Actually, we'll dump them out. Dump them out and do it again. And leave the front plate on just to hold it together. It seems unnerving. When I first started doing this, I dumped them out. I go, oh, it's going to take me so long to put them back in. And then after a while, it's so easy because you know the pattern. And when you go pick up your guitar, you will know the pattern. You can start literally visualizing that on your guitar before you have to get to the physical ability of just playing the scale. So now what I would recommend you do is you start these patterns somewhere else on the fretboard. So let's start this time. Last time we started on G sharp. Let's start over on B. Now again, I'm not going to say what key it's in because we haven't depicted it, whether it's major or minor, but the pattern is the same. So as we go down here, put the pegs in. Super easy. You could time yourself. You could have a race with friends. Now we remember 2 frets over was the straight line, right? Straight line down. Except for the top of the House of Blues, that guy there. And then we continue back with our straight line. And if we recall, 2 frets over from there was another straight line with a mirror to the right. So this is our 12th fret, so we're going to repeat back to the left. Now you could put another fretboard escalator right beside this one if you wanted to continue, but it works just fine with one. So I skip this fret and I start my other straight line. And down we go. Now that is what we have kind of loosely described as the mirror. We had this one outlier to the left, this one has the outlier to the right, but on the B string. Okay, so now if we want, we can come back to our bass pattern and say, let's do our twos because they're really easy. So here's these two, then we've got these two, and then we've got our last two. And guess what? We just did it again. We built the entire pentatonic scale pattern across the whole fretboard. Dump it out and do it again. Start at another place. Challenge yourself instead of I won't call it cheating, but what I did is I did the easy way out here just for explanation purposes by doing the twos. But really, what you should do is start that bass pattern way over to the right and try and build to the left. So build to the left all out and then build to the right. And you'll start to realize that you can do this, that you can actually visualize these patterns. Now that's not it. That's not where the fretboard escalator ends. Because once we show you the root notes, whether it be major or minor, we're going to start with major, then you're going to actually be able to use this in your playing. While you're playing, you can look at this instead of your phone or a laptop or whatever. You can just sit this on your amp right beside you, and you can play in key, assuming all the chords are diatonic. You can play any of these notes anywhere you want. You don't have to sit and play the scale pattern up and down. You can just look at it, find a note that you like, and then move on from there. Find a small area on the fretboard. Maybe you want to hang out in the House of Blues. Maybe you want to hang out somewhere over here, like this area. That's fantastic for building up those skills and just playing around on the fretboard. So now that we have them built out on the fretboard escalator, if you want to practice your scales in your positions, then this is a great way to do it. Again, without a laptop or without a tiny little phone, and you don't have to set anything up. You just put this on your amp and you sit down and practice. It gets you practicing faster. So what we saw here is we saw position 1, just like this. So I'm going to cover that up. We got position 1. And then we've got position 2. And then we got, I shouldn't call these position 3s. There's another position. Depends on if it's major or minor. And then another position here. So if you don't want to cover it up with your hands, but you want to be able to see it easily, then just pull this off. Let's put it over here. And you can just focus on this particular one here. Okay, so when you're done with that one, then let's grab this position. And now you can focus on this one. And when you're done with that one, you can grab this as a position. Focus on that one. Put it back together. And focus on your final position here. Well, there's another position. So if you want to do that final position, you could pull these guys off here, bring it around there, and there's another position. So you can make any combination of positions you want. If you want to focus that way, then it works great for that. Anything you want to do, however you want to practice, you can practice it. So that's it. That's your pentatonic scale all across the fretboard, and you can break it up into positions. You can practice it linear, you can practice it in a vertical, however you want to do it. So let's move on and get some root notes in here and decide if this thing's major or minor.